The young and the restless spoilers, grab your popcorn and brace yourselves, Genoa City aficionados, because the imminent alliance between Phyllis Summers and Victor Newman is about to upend every power structure you thought you understood, and then some. In tomorrow's episode, behind the velvety curtains of a dimly lit jazz lounge, two of the fiercest players in town will sit down at the same table, not as adversaries but as conspirators united by ambition, retribution, and the most explosive intel ever whispered through crimson lights. Buckle in for a rollercoaster ride of corporate espionage, family betrayal, and strategic backstabbing that will leave you gasping for air. Act I. The setting and the stakes. The scene opens with a camera sweep of battered neon signs and sidewalk cafes that give way to the plush interior of the Blue Note Lounge, its mahogany walls humming with muted conversations and the faint clink of cocktail glasses. In the far corner, Victor Newman, kingpin of Newman Enterprises, sits alone beneath a single spotlight, puffing on a bespoke Cuban cigar. His tailored tuxedo and steely gaze betray nothing of the inner turmoil scuttling through his mind. Across the room, Phyllis Summers enters like a red-headed tempest. Confidence radiates from her every stride, her stiletto heels clicking against the polished hardwood floor in a measured rhythm that seems to echo Victor's own heartbeat. Cameras briefly flash, not for the paparazzi but for our eyes, capturing every nuance of the encounter. This is no ordinary clandestine meeting, it is a summit of titans, where the future of two dynasties will be negotiated in whispers and ledger pages. Act 2. The secret weapon. Phyllis settles into the velvet-lined booth opposite Victor, producing from her designer clutch a manila folder stamped with the sickly official red of confidential. Victor arches a single eyebrow, a gesture that could wither weaker souls, but Phyllis simply smiles, a slow, predatory curve of her lips. Inside that folder lies the ultimate bargaining chip, incontrovertible evidence that Billy Abbott, darling of Abbott Industries and Mr. Golden Boy to tabloids everywhere, has quietly diverted millions into an offshore shell corporation controlled by the shadowy Aristotle Dumas. Bank statements, clandestine emails, and encrypted travel itineraries form a damning mosaic of deceit. But there's more. Phyllis has also unearthed proof that Dumas himself possesses sensitive documents implicating Newman Media's board of directors in insider trading scandals that could land Victor in a courtroom rather than a boardroom. In other words, Phyllis holds the key to either shattering Victor's empire or offering him a lifeline, provided he consents to her terms. Act 3. The terms of engagement. Without skipping a beat, Phyllis outlines her demands. They are audacious, bordering on audacious to the point of lunacy, yet entirely in keeping with her reputation as Genoa City's most mercurial power broker. First, full editorial control over the next high-profile Newman Media exposé aimed at burying Billy Abbott's reputation once and for all. Phyllis wants to frame the narrative, print the headlines, and ensure that when the dust settles, Billy is more pariah than Prince. Second, a sweeping immunity clause that protects Phyllis from any legal retaliation or personal vendettas Victor might unleash in response to her revelations. And third, her magnum opus request. A substantial equity stake in Dumas Holdings, to be brokered through Victor's clandestine channels, guaranteeing her a foothold in the mysterious Aristotle's empire. A partnership that would catapult her from tabloid darling to international magnate. The very notion sends a flicker of surprise across Victor's hawkish features, but his poker face remains intact. Act 4. Victor's calculus. Victor Newman is no stranger to high-stakes negotiations. He built his empire on ruthless decisions, hostile takeovers, and family feuds that bled into the tabloids. Yet Phyllis's offer presents him with a paradox. On one hand, acceding to her terms means granting power to someone who once walked through his boardrooms as an adversary, someone who humiliated him under the guise of love and loyalty. On the other hand, rejecting the deal risks Phyllis unleashing her dossier, exposing Victor's own vulnerabilities to regulators, prosecutors, and rival magnates circling like vultures. He weighs the options with the precision of a chess grandmaster, fingers drumming on the table. The jazz quartet behind him crescendos in perfect synchronicity with his internal deliberation. Every note, every staccato beat underscores the gravity of the choice before him. Ally with a former foe to crush an even greater threat, or watch his empire crumble under the weight of scandal. ACTV, the psychology of alliance. As Victor contemplates, Phyllis leans in, her voice a velvet whisper. She reminds him of every time Dumas disrupted his deals, of how rumors of Aristotle's financial manipulations forced Victor to redirect millions in capital. She evokes the sting of betrayal that still echoes in his boardroom. When a trusted advisor quietly undermined Newman Enterprises at Dumas's behest. Her words do more than present facts, they strike at the emotional core of Victor's ambition. He sees in Phyllis not just a former lover or a political pawn, but a strategic partner who comprehends his deepest fears and his most treasured victories. Phyllis, in turn, leverages every ounce of emotional currency she has accumulated. Shared history, mutual respect born of countless confrontations, and the unspoken understanding that in Genoa City, loyalty is as fleeting as the next scandal. Their alliance, forged in this dimly lit lounge, is built on the mutual recognition that some enemies are better kept close. ACT 6. The ramifications word of this unlikely partnership will ricochet through the corridors of Newman Enterprises and Abbott Industries alike. Executives at both firms will scramble to recalibrate their strategies. Department heads who once answered to Victor must now negotiate with a triumphant Phyllis, while Abbott loyalists will sense an opening to regain lost ground as Victor's attention shifts. Meanwhile, Billy Abbott, blindsided by the media blitz, will find himself battling public outrage, legal inquiries, and the possible collapse of the family legacy he's been groomed to inherit. Aristotle Dumas, too, will feel the tremors as Phyllis leverages her new stake in his holdings to influence boardroom votes and corporate filings. And in the press rooms of Genoa City's tabloids, Nate Hastings and Victoria Newman's chosen journalists will clash over editorial priorities. Should they pursue the explosive scoop Phyllis provided, or protect Victor's reputation to safeguard alliances? Act 7. The personal toll beyond the boardrooms and ticker-tape headlines lies the human cost of such Machiavellian maneuvering. Nikki Newman, ever the family matriarch, will watch from the sidelines with a mixture of pride and dread. She knows better than most that alliances forged in fire can be as volatile as nitroglycerin, capable of providing explosive momentum or catastrophic collapse. Across town, Claire Grace Newman will grapple with the realization that her grandmother's generation is playing a game so intricate it could shatter the world she thought she understood. Even Kyle Abbott, whose own recent heartbreaks over family interference have left him wary, will feel the tremor waves from this alliance, wondering whether trust can ever survive in a city where love and power are inextricably entwined. Act 8. Anticipation for tomorrow. As the credits roll on tonight's episode, viewers will be left on the edge of their seats, hearts pounding with anticipation for the fallout that airs tomorrow. Will Victor Newman, master strategist, publicly acknowledge Phyllis Summers as a partner in Dumas Holdings, or will he orchestrate a behind-the-scenes coup to nullify her demands at the last possible moment? Will Phyllis have secured her empire before Victor has time to reverse course, or will she find herself outmaneuvered by the very tactics she once wielded against him? And what of Billy Abbott and Aristotle Dumas? Will they unite to retaliate, forging their own counter-alliances to reclaim the high ground? One thing is certain, Genoa City will never be the same. The city's power dynamics have shifted in that jazz lounge tonight, and every subsequent maneuver will trace its origins to this fateful sit-down. The ripple effects will be felt in every boardroom, every family dinner, and every whispered rumor in Crimson Lights. For viewers, the saga promises to be a masterclass in soap opera theater: betrayal and redemption, ambition and regret, loyalty and revenge, all unfolding with operatic grandeur. So clutch your remote, stock up on popcorn, and prepare for the next act in the high-stakes drama that is The Young and the Restless. When Phyllis Summers and Victor Newman join forces, they don't just raise the bar, they blow the roof off the very idea of what's possible in Genoa City. Phyllis never makes a move without calculating every angle, whispers one of my most reliable insiders, leaning in so close you can almost feel the heat of her ambition radiating off her. She has been seething over her recent setbacks, and she sees this as her golden ticket back to the very pinnacle she was born to occupy. Every word drips with awe and a touch of fear, because if there is one thing we know for certain about Genoa City's red-headed firebrand, it's that when she sets her sights on the summit, she will claw her way there whether anyone gets in her path or not. And now, with her dossier on Billy Abbott's clandestine dealings and Aristotle Dumas's shadowy leverage in hand, Phyllis Summers is poised to demand from patriarch Victor Newman something so bold it could reshape the power dynamics of this town. Rumor has it she wants, not modest compensation, not an apology, not simple immunity, but a comfortable seat at Newman Media's executive table and, just maybe, a golden parachute for her son, Daniel Romalotti. Imagine the quiet thrill of watching a parent score a plum roll for her child while she cements her own influence, killing two birds with one perfect, fiendishly precise stone. But here is where the real fireworks begin. Victor Newman, as we all know, is not renowned for trusting those who have once betrayed him. He has built his empire on ruthlessness, not redemption. One sniff of treachery and he turns on you faster than you can say hostile takeover. Victor's no fool, says another source deep within the Newman vaults. He's intrigued by what Phyllis's intel on Aristotle Dumas could yield. Everyone in Genoa City wants to know who this phantom mogul really is, but inviting Phyllis into his inner sanctum? That's like offering a fox the keys to the chicken coop. And let's not forget the last time these two titans allied themselves. A disaster of biblical proportions that ended in lawsuits, boardroom brawls, and the kind of public humiliation that leaves scars on reputations and on self-esteem. Yet hatred for Billy Abbott may cloud even Victor's razor-sharp judgment. He has already ordered Adam to drag Billy's name through the mud across every media outlet he controls, convinced that this is the war to end all wars. When Victor decides someone must be taken down, it's not a polite suggestion, it's an edict. And Billy Abbott, hero of the tabloids, golden boy heir, is squarely in the crosshairs. So the big question, will Victor swallow his pride and partner with the very woman who once brandished her claws in his boardroom, or will he call Phyllis's bluff and risk unleashing those explosive secrets that could send Newman Media, and perhaps the entire Newman empire, into freefall? Let's envision the scenario. Behind the velvet curtain of the Blue Note Lounge, Victor sits in his customary black leather chair, cigar smoke curling around him like a sinister halo. Phyllis sweeps in, eyes glittering with purpose, clutching that fabled folder as though it were the Ark of the Covenant. She lays it on the table with a thud that echoes off the walls. Bank transfers to Dumas shell companies, encrypted emails between Billy and offshore bankers, evidence that Aristotle owns the kind of compromat that could open regulators' floodgates. Victor listens, stone-faced, each revelation landing like a brick in his gut. He knows he can't ignore this. Phyllis has him cornered by facts he can't dispute. And yet, years of training in betrayal's cruel academy have taught him to question every motive, to dig for the snake beneath the handshake. Phyllis, sensing his hesitation, leans forward. You and I both know what Aristotle Dumas represents, a threat to everything you've built. I'm offering you the fastest, surest way to neutralize him. In exchange, I want a position of real power at Newman Media, editorial oversight, boardroom influence, and I want assurances for Daniel, that he will have a role worthy of his talents, away from the shadows and into the light. Her voice never wavers. Her gaze never softens. She is the consummate strategist, a woman who knows how to negotiate from strength and how to press her advantage when her adversary is weakest. Victor's mind races. He weighs the possibility of harnessing Phyllis's inside information to crush two enemies at once, Dumas and Billy, against the risk of entwining his legacy with a woman whose ambition outstrips even his own. His empire stands on a delicate scaffolding of alliances and fear. Bring in Phyllis, and he might just beach the whole structure on the rocks of her unquenchable thirst for power. Yet to refuse her is to invite the kind of public spectacle that could unravel years of careful reputation management, to hand her the ultimate victory in a feud she has pursued with the tenacity of a bloodhound. As the jazz trio in the corner plays a mournful tune, Victor exhales a plume of cigar smoke and issues the only reply he ever gives when he is cornered. "Let me think about it." And in that pregnant pause hangs the fate of families, fortunes, and futures across Genoa City. Because when Victor Newman considers an alliance, he does so not in hours but in lifetimes, measuring every possible outcome, calculating every angle. And when he makes his decision, it will reshape the chessboard for years to come. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, whispers in the corridors of Abbott Industries confirm that Billy has been blindsided. The shocking exposé Phyllis will engineer, if Victor signs on, will send shockwaves through the Abbott boardroom, forcing Jack Abbott himself to choose between defending his son or distancing the company from these allegations. And Daniel Romalotti, whose name Phyllis has bandied about as her bargaining chip, will be thrust into the spotlight, perhaps more than he ever wished. His smile may falter as he realizes that his mother's ambition, relentless and unyielding, has transformed him into both prize and pawn in this ruthless game. In the end, the true power of this alliance lies not in the pieces they move on the corporate board but in the psychological siege they wage on their opponents. Phyllis, by demanding a seat at Victor's table, forces him to acknowledge her worth, and to tacitly admit that she possesses knowledge he cannot acquire on his own. Victor, by pondering her proposal, admits that he sees in her the capability to reshape his world, yet he also risks undervaluing her appetite for power, which by now few can rival. One thing is certain, Genoa City will never be the same. The ripples from this clandestine meeting tomorrow will spread through every family feud, every boardroom battle, and every whispered rumor in Crimson Lights. As viewers tune in, they will witness not just a showdown but a masterclass in soap opera strategy. Where love and loyalty are fleeting, and power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Will Victor Newman bite at the forbidden fruit Phyllis offers, or will he recoil and expose her as the fox in his chicken coop? And when the credits roll, we'll know whose gambit reshapes the future of Genoa City, the patriarch who fears betrayal above all else, or the red-headed provocateur who calculates her ascent with cold, steely precision. Buckle up. Because in this game, the stakes are nothing less than legacy itself.